A house is made of wood and stone, but only love can make a home. Welcome to the Repco Light Home Improvement Show, helping you make your home into one you'll love even more. On News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Haley, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, Dan.
I had quite a week last week.
You did.
And we ended up airing a rerun kind of because of it.
Right, because you were out of the office for 3 whole days last week. And let me tell you guys, Dan does not take time off.
I don't.
This is a big deal.
No, we have a new HR person, and she came around, was it 3 weeks ago, and talked about all the time off that everybody's got. They're making some changes. They wanted to make us aware. And how much time off did she tell me I have?
I think you have something like 10 weeks.
Yeah, I have 420 some hours.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, so I've started taking a little bit more time off.
Yeah.
She encouraged that strongly.
This exists for a reason.
Yeah, so
We want you to have a life, Dan.
but when I'm gone, it makes it harder, or when you're gone, it makes it harder to get a show together, and that's why we ended up playing a rerun last week. But more importantly, I want to talk about where I was, because I think there's some value in this, and it might be interesting to some people out there. I was at a motorcycle safety class at the Harley dealer in Hudsonville, and I feel really cool saying that I was at the Harley dealer, not just asking for directions about how to get to McDonald's.
But like riding a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Crashing a motorcycle, but riding a motorcycle.
They're made to crash on the training course, right? And yes, I had a little bit of that. Not as bad as Haley's making it sound. They said everybody does it.
Yeah.
That's not really what played out in the class. Not everybody did it. Okay. But some of us did. And, I think we got the better experience for it. We saw everything.
Right.
Anyway, if you are an experienced rider, they've got other classes, other levels of classes that you could look into. Even a basic class will still teach you a lot of basic skills that maybe you haven't worked on developing as much as you should. So it's something to look into for you.
Yeah,
if you're thinking about starting this, like I am, I think it's a no-brainer. You've got to do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I can't imagine not doing that.
No, went through 2 full days of riding around on the range and learning a lot of different things, a lot of different skills, a lot of things to be aware of. And at the end, we took our test right there and basically got our endorsements, by the end of that next day or that day, I was already online at the Department of Motor Vehicles and making the arrangements to have the endorsement put on my license. So all of that happened because of this class. Super cool. It's Dan approved.
Dan approved.
2 big thumbs up.
Excellent.
Yeah, and they're not even wrapped in bandages or anything. They're
you've got
perfectly
your hands
fine.
Still.
Yeah, I've done really well. Check it out. I don't know how many classes they've got going yet this fall. I think they're wrapping up pretty close.
Yeah.
But look into it for next spring. Definitely something to think about. All right, that's where I was last week. Let's look ahead to this week. What are we talking about? We've got the color of the year.
Yeah, 2023 color of the year from Benjamin Moore. It's a doozy.
Why do you say that?
It's unexpected. It's extremely unexpected.
I mean, okay. Yeah, it's very interesting because we have not talked about it. And I was writing a blog post. I have not posted. I've not even put any of the notes anywhere. But my very first sentence is Benjamin Moore's color of the year is a doozy.
Seriously?
Yes, that's the word I used. Yeah, so I was wondering if you were watching over my shoulder looking for tips and info. You weren't, right?
I had no idea.
No, I know. I thought that was funny.
Strange.
So yes, I think that's the word in the zeitgeist, right? It's or whatever that is. It's the word. It's a doozy.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that coming up at the end of the show. We'll also be in the studio with Nick Sargent from Johnson Carpet One, talking about everything from countertops and backsplashes
to hardwood floors, to carpet, obviously, but everything that they do there, and even some trends and some ways to save money.
It's a really fun conversation. That's coming up next. Right now, let's talk about cheap stuff. We all love cheap stuff. And sometimes I'll buy cheap stuff that really embodies the word cheap fully.
Right.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
It didn't cost me much money, and that's good. I think about the one that I always point out is a screwdriver set. I was on my way to a real store to buy, a real hardware store to buy a literal screwdriver for a particular size screw that I had to do. I just didn't. I was new to the house, and I didn't have all these tools amassed, and I didn't have the right size screwdriver. And so I thought, I'm going to go buy a new one. And I stopped at a dollar store, and I found 12 of them for $1.
Oh,
and I thought,
gosh.
Can't go wrong.
What a deal.
Yeah, well, you can go wrong.
Yeah.
8 of them broke as I'm trying to take a screw out of a switch plate. I'm trying to unscrew the switch plate cover.
Yeah.
It broke.
Yeah, we're not talking about that kind of cheap.
That's terrible cheap. The cheap we're talking about are my tennis shoes that I bought on vacation a couple years back. I named them. I loved them so much. I bought them because I didn't pack the right shoes for walking around Mackinac Island. Haley's thinking right now. He named his shoes Amos and Matt. I did.
Amos and Matt.
Yes. I loved them so much. They were $13 for a pair of tennis shoes. I thought they would last me literally through that weekend, and that's all I needed. Yeah. That's fine. I'll throw them away. They lasted for a couple years. They were so great. Every time I put them on, I'd tell people, I paid $13 for these.
And I named them.
Yeah, they're amazing. This one's Matt. This one's Amos. Anyway, I was sad when I had to get rid of those. That's the kind of cheap that I want to talk about right now in regards to paint tools, because there are some tools. We've got a list. I don't know how many we'll get through. We'll try our best. But if you buy all of these things, it costs you less than $10.
And they're like really critical things. Like they will make your life easier.
And they'll last, and you'll name them.
I
want to know what you name them. Let's talk about the first one, a paint pour spout. We've talked about them on the show before. They're $1.09 each.
Really inexpensive. This could be nameable because I think it would last forever. It's literally just a piece of plastic that fits right into the rim of a can so that when you pour the paint out, it doesn't make a mess.
Right. Makes it easy to pour. And like Haley said, nothing in the rim. You can seal the can right back up. Marty. I think that's a good name for the paint pour spout.
I like it.
Seems like it would work.
All right.
Let's go to tray liners. I don't know that I'd name these.
No.
Because they're disposable. You don't want to get too attached, but they're still inexpensive and they'll save you a ton of time.
Yeah, these are honestly critical. I'm really disappointed when I don't have these in a paint project, and I've even gone as far as like using an old one and flipping it inside out so that I still have a tray liner, because it saves you so much energy at the end of your paint project. To be able to not clean the paint tray out is a blessing.
Oh, yeah. That's so good. Tray liners, aluminum foil. This one's a little bit strange, but it works so well in between, as you're wrapping up a project for a night. That's where I use this all the time. And
you're just hitting pause.
Right, you're hitting pause. I got this tip from Dan Altina, who was on the show a while back before Haley came on. Yep. And this is something he's done all the time. I'd never heard of it. But whenever he's brushing something out and needs to quit for the night, he'll wrap the brush in tin foil. Of course, you could wrap it in saran wrap and stuff like that, but with the tin foil, you can really mold it and get it airtight and sealed.
And his point, too, is that air can't pass through tin foil like it can pass through plastic. We don't think about that, but technically, it's more airtight because it's metal. Yeah, so tin foil, get that. A rubber mallet, get that. That's better for sealing the lids. Don't use a hammer. Don't thump it with your hand, stuff like that, because it's just not going to seal well over time. Right. So a rubber mallet, a disposable razor knife. We've got those right at the counter. You will use that on so many different parts of a project. That's just like a tool you should have for everything.
All the time. $1.25. And then the last one, very quickly, a can opener key.
They're free.
Get it for free. Ask us for one. We'll send it with you just like a stir stick.
Yes.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be in the studio with Nick Sargent from Johnson Carpet One talking about all things related to Johnson Carpet, right?
Yeah, everything.
That's next. Stay tuned.